In this problem, we assume that all variables represent positive real numbers. And I have to simplify the square root of 60x to the 8th. Notice the radicand is a product. I am multiplying 60 times x to the 8th. So I'm going to need to use the product rule of radicals. And here it is. So the product rule of radicals basically says for any non-negative real numbers a and b and any index n, the nth root of a times b equals the nth root of a times the nth root of b. Well, in our case, we have a square root. What index are we too efficient to write? If there's no index there, n equals 2. So I'm going to use the product rule of radicals for square roots, which it just says the square root of a times b equals the square root of a times the square root of b. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my problem using the product rule of radicals. So it's going to become the square root of 60 times the square root of x raised to the 8th power. Now I need to simplify the square root of 60, so we need to factor 60. The first two factors that come to my mind are 6 times 10, neither of which are perfect squares. 6 is 3 times 2, and 10 is 2 times 5. So I'm going to break 60 down into 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to write this as the square root of 4 times the square root of 15. Double check, 4 times 15 is 60. Times the square root of x to the 8th. And to figure that out, I'm going to use the index. Remember, on a square root, the index is a 2. The shortcut method says you take the index and you divide it into the exponent on the x. So 2 divides into 8 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract 8 minus 8 is 0. So I get 4 as the quotient with no remainder. So the quotient is the exponent on the x outside the radical. So I'm going to have x to the 4th outside the radical. And the remainder is 0, so I'm going to get no x's left inside the radical. So just simplifying this, what is the square root of 4? It is 2. I'm going to then write x to the 4th because that is outside the radical. And then finally, the square root of 15. So my answer is 2x to the 4th times the square root of 15.